Hey everyone, it's Kayla Moon here. We are at the compound. I'm here with Mike Rhodes, a major homeless advocate here in Fresno, California, as well as Desiree Martinez. We've been discussing a lot of different stuff going on, and Mike, thank you so much for coming out here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we appreciate your activism as well as the book and so many things that you've done. So you've wrote for Community Alliance a little bit, and tell us about your history in activism with the homeless and what you've seen in cases like this specifically.
Wow. So I've been writing about the homeless for maybe 14, 15 years. And it started largely as a result of my being the editor of the Community Alliance newspaper. I followed the story of the city destroying homeless encampments, bulldozing people's property, people losing everything they owned, and the city claiming that they were simply cleaning up rubbish. And there was a lawsuit that ensued because the destruction that took place in these homeless encampments left people without their medications. If you are homeless and you are on heart medication or diabetes medication, and the city takes that, you could die. People ended up in the hospitals. People did die as a result of city actions. We had a lawsuit against the city of Fresno that stopped them from taking and immediately destroying homeless people's property. It also reimbursed the homeless $2.3 million in a settlement, which was the largest settlement of its kind in the entire United States, which made the city pause and take a breath about what their policy would be. And they, in fact, for a while, stopped taking and destroying homeless people's property. Now, they're pretty resilient and creative people, and they figured out how they can take homeless people's property and destroy it. They do oftentimes store it now for 90 days, but they make it so that homeless people in the community cannot carry their property with them everywhere they go. Imagine if you're homeless and you have a sleeping bag and you have other clothing and medications and other things that are important to you, and you need to eat and go into the Poverello and have lunch. You have to leave that somewhere because they won't let that come into their property. The city comes and they'll take that property and put it into their storage yard, where you then have to make an appointment and go in and reclaim it. Now, all homeless people don't have cell phones, they don't have calendars where they can put things on their date book and just show up on the specific day that these appointments are made for. So you have a situation where the city has actually gotten quite good at, again, taking and destroying homeless people's property, because they don't allow homeless people to keep their property anywhere, and there is no place that's safe. So that's kind of the current situation in the city, but right now we're in the county. We're in a county location just outside the city limits, and this is the first time I've been to this encampment, but it's unique in a number of ways from what I have seen so far. One is the length of time that people have lived here. I'm told that some people have been here up to 10 years. Which is remarkable stability for a homeless encampment in Fresno at this time, because the city has been relentless about destroying homeless encampments. Anytime a few people start living together, they'll be there to tell them to move on. People are allowed to maybe put a tent up overnight, but as soon as it becomes morning, they're told to pack up and move on. So it's really hard for people to live with their neighbors, people they enjoy, they trust. And I think that that's a particularly cruel policy of the city of Fresno, not to allow homeless people to have any safe and legal place to live. It's particularly hard for women who are homeless, because they often rely on other people that they trust to be nearby, so that if there is a predator, that they have some protection. With the current city policy of having no safe and legal place for them to go, and no stability, then they're more vulnerable. If a woman is now sleeping alone, say under an oleander bush somewhere, she's vulnerable to predators much more so than when the encampments existed and they had a neighborhood and neighbors that they trusted. Here, it seems like a very stable environment for people. People are living in campers and trailers. I see there's a tent here. People seem to have a safe place to live. And I'm told that the county is in the process of moving in and destroying the encampment. We don't have a date for that yet. There's been some rumors. They've posted some notices, but right now I'm not sure when that'll take place or if it even will take place. And one of the reasons is that we've contacted county council and reminded them of the consent decree that came out of the last lawsuit that forbids them from taking and immediately destroying homeless people's property. We're hoping that that will make them pause and think before they invite another lawsuit, this time against the county of Fresno.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just the length of time, you know, you've said that you've heard a few things about squatters' rights and how it really depends on the time, but there's people here who have grown up here. Their father died here. Does that give them any more of a right to this land than, say, you know, someone who's been on a property for less than 5 years?
Right. I don't really have a legal opinion about that. The issue has come up before, but never with residents, homeless residents who've lived someplace for 10 years or more. There was some issue that came up in Santa Fe, on Santa Fe Avenue, which was just south of Ventura. And they'd lived there for a couple of years, but it wasn't clear that they had any right to legal status, and the attorneys all advised us not to use that as a legal strategy. The fact that people have been here 10 years may make a difference. I've suggested that they should talk to attorneys, perhaps at the Central California Legal Services, to find out what their rights are based on that information.
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, as for, you know, is this something that we can advocate and actually take to court? Or, I mean, is that something that would be beneficial? I mean, you said that there may be legal repercussions for the county of Fresno. You know, I mean, how would those actions come about? You know, would it be after they come in and destroy everything and then we have a case? Or is there something that we can do before then in a proactive stance, you know, so these people don't have to lose all of their belongings before a solution is brought about? Right.
Well, obviously it'd be better to do it before. You know, looking around, there's a burned house here that apparently has been here for a couple of years. You know, it seems like if the county wanted to help, they would help clear that out so that it wasn't a hazard. There's boards with nails sticking out of them. There seems like there's a lot that the county could do to help the situation. It hasn't. You can't really file a lawsuit against them if they haven't done anything yet. If they've posted notices telling people to move, that they may be trespassing. What those people need to do is to talk to an attorney and know their rights. And if the county comes in and does anything illegal, like taking their property and destroying it, that needs to be documented so that a lawsuit could then be filed on their behalf. I'm not aware of anybody who's in a position to get a preliminary injunction or a temporary restraining order against the county, although that's something that could be looked into if there's anybody out there that is in touch with attorneys that know the law. If there is a concern that this encampment will be destroyed shortly, and if there's a possibility of filing for some kind of restraint against the county from harming these people. That should be done. The other thing I would say is encourage them to do the right thing. Encourage them to clean up the old house that's burned down and provide people with whatever services they need. If they're in need of trash pickup, perhaps the county can provide that. That would help clean the environment up. That would be a good thing. Perhaps they can provide water, make sure there's electricity here. There's things that help, and then there's things that hurt.
Right.
Let's do the things that help.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, in our conversation earlier, I heard you say something about we could actually cure homelessness here in Fresno. Could you just share, because people look at this issue and they're like, it's too big, it's too much, it's too, you know, they get discouraged when they look at all of the different issues. You know, so how, in your opinion, could we cure homelessness in the community of Fresno?
It would be really easy to end homelessness in Fresno and in every city in the United States. It takes the political will and the resources that it would take to do that. And specifically what that means is having enough affordable housing for every person to live decently. The problem is that the federal government has cut back on federal housing and affordable housing for years and years. Ever since the Reagan administration, the budget has been decimated for affordable housing. That needs to be reversed. There needs to be plentiful, affordable, and decent housing for everybody that needs it. That provides for the housing part of it, but people also need social services. They need the social services that they would need to live a life that didn't result in them being homeless. And that could be job training. It could be education. It could be they have an addiction problem with alcohol or drugs. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. People need affordable housing and they need social services, and we need to have an economy that provides for full employment. And once people are treated with dignity and respect, and we have social and economic justice in this city and in this country, homelessness will be ended.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and just to leave it off, you said something that I thought was really interesting with the sheds at the Poverello house, right? How they're seen as a resource for homeless people, but you would be thrown in jail if you put your mother-in-law in there.
Oh, yeah, right. I've always pointed that out, that they're entirely inadequate for human habitation. You would not put your child, say you had a 5-year-old child or 2 children, they put 2 people to every tool shed. Most people have a tool shed in the back of their house. If I were to put my children or my mother-in-law in a tool shed and they had to live there, there's no running water, there's no electricity, there's no heating, there's no cooling, I would be arrested and charged with child endangerment or senior abandonment if I were to put, you know, vulnerable people in that kind of a unit. They're simply not made for human habitation. They're meant for, you know, rakes and lawnmowers, not people. And it's shameful that that is the best that the Poverello house does to house the homeless. And in fact, I was just hearing moments ago that they're even evicting some people from those tool sheds and forcing them back onto the street.
Right,
that's shameful.
Right. So when you talk about housing resources, it was something that, you know, we would give to our loved ones, right? Not provide for our loved ones, not something that we would provide for an animal or tools in a shed.
We have to look at homeless people as being our brothers and our sisters. I mean, they are literally our mothers and our fathers, and we need to treat them with that respect and provide them with housing and whatever social services they need so they could live a healthy, happy life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming out here. We really appreciate it. Des, any final words?
Oh,
you jumping on the cam today? Let's go.
Yeah.
Des,
no, I was going to actually show him this because I know it was brought up.
Careful for the
I know it was brought up about the if they did have a cleanup or anything like that. We were actually just handed, while Mike was having his interview done, a letter that states that. So if you can explain to them what this is.
Okay, it gives a date now of March 28th, saying that there'll be a hearing, right? I didn't have a chance to fully read it yet. But there's a hearing on Shields Avenue, a number to call for other questions about the abatement. I assume they're talking about the property that's out here. They've posted other notices saying that they're going to remove some of the automobiles that are out here. I assume that's what they're referring to.
Yes. Now, does this, we don't know yet if this covers the no trespassing and nuisance. So my thing is that they said they did put out a letter for all the vehicles. So say the trailers, the mobile homes, and the cars moving or not, burnt or not. And those have the nuisance on them, and that was the 17th. They were going to come in today. Just 2 days ago, this was dropped off. Just 2 days ago. I don't know if that's an ample amount of time for them to prepare and get ready, or what they need to have. But I mean, I'm going to show up here for this in support of them and what's going on. But this is what we have now. I'm just hoping that this covers, you know, the no trespassing and stuff. That's what I'm concerned about.
I would encourage people to have legal representatives there to be with them at this meeting, because I don't know, you know, what they're going to throw out, and they need to have some kind of legal counsel.
Well, so if anybody's out there, it says March 28th at 10 a.m. It will be at the Fresno County Sheriff's Office Area 2 headquarters, which is located 5717 East Shields Avenue. So I will be there in support, and we're going to try. So if anybody else knows any type of legal rights regarding property or anything like this that might want to help out, then for sure get a hold of Kayla, Mike, myself. We'll be able to bounce numbers off each other, phone numbers or something. But either one of us, if that's okay, if they would reach out to you. Okay, and then also Kayla or myself, you know, so we can give them the information, because unfortunately there's no communication with them out here unless we come out to the property. So that would be very helpful. So this is good, I think. And I believe this is coming from the community actually covering this, and the letters that got sent in. We want to thank you for supporting and helping. But
hopefully we're getting the county's attention, and they're realizing that they can't just roll over these people without people noticing.
Yes, and that's one thing, you know, that the sheriffs quoted themselves, that they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars cleaning up the other lot. We could have spent less than that helping instead of hindering, because now we have, and which I'm sure I'm not giving anybody any new news, we now have officially added another 28 people to Roding Park. And this is because of the other two camps. Where are they supposed to go? I'm pretty sure they're going to show up out there, and they're going to move them again. But this is like a non-stop business, and so instead of hindering them, let's help them. Just like Mike said, there's so many things that we can do. They said, give us the trash can and we will clean it up ourselves. That's all we need help with, and that's a lot of money, of course, for them.
You could spend a lot less and actually help people.
Yes.
Well, that's the other thing. The other point about ending homelessness is it would actually cost less to end homelessness, provide people with housing and social services, than to continue having people roaming the streets looking for a place to sleep at night.
Or all the citations, because now they're getting cited for the bottles, the recycling. They're getting cited for that. That's taxpayers' money. They're getting cited for taking food out of the trash can. That's illegal now, I guess. So it's like, how are they supposed to survive anymore? You've literally taken everything. They're trying as hard as they can. They just want the help, not the finger pointing and stuff like that. And our county can. There's so many people in the community that's helped me this whole year to help them, you know. So I believe that the community can. It's just like, you know, we just need to get a couple other people out there to realize that we can help, and instead of hinder, and stop capitalizing off of the homelessness situation, because there's all that money. I feel that we can utilize it to clean up. Homelessness can be cured.
Well, thank you for inviting me to come out and be part of all that.
Oh yes, I had to reach out to Mike. As we all know, I met him while I went through my little thing too. So it's always been a pleasure to talk to him, you know, and he told me a couple of things that I always remember. So thank you too, because now here I am a year later, and I'm out here helping. And you know, he had a lot to do with changing my mind on things instead of complaining, to get up and actually do something. So that changed my mind a lot when we sat down and had that talk. And instead of me complaining about everything I was going through while homeless, I remembered what he said, and it's brought me back out here to help. And now here we are a year later.
That's how things change.
Yes.
People get active.
Yes.
Wow.
Anybody out there listening, get active.
I know. Get involved, man. Just come on, get involved. You'll love it. Everybody loves it. Once they spend a whole day, They love it, huh? She's stuck now. She's stuck now.
Yes, I love
she
it.
loves it. It's therapeutical.
Oh,
it really is.
Yes,
It really
yes.
is
Oh my gosh.
therapeutic.
Well, thank you both so much.